on SportsRise. The Flyers signed the most coveted free agent on the market. He scores! But someone might have to make way for the best player in the world.
He's that good.
The facing off crew explains why you'll love the new Flyers. The fans have a message for Tio, and so do some of his teammates.
We have some things that we definitely need to iron out.
We have the first day of pads covered and a breach of national security to boot.
I almost ran over the president.
The wild card race is on as the Phillies try to steal one at home.
What a bizarre way to win a game.
It's a diamond-studded edition of Singular SportsRise right now.
Philadelphia Flyers are pleased to select from Modo, Sweden, Peter Forsberg.
Look how young, 14 years, 1 month and 12 days after drafting Peter Forsberg, he is finally a member of the Philadelphia Flyers, but who's counting anyway? Hello everyone, welcome inside the Wachovia Center. This is Singular SportsRise. I'm Matt Fine. In case you didn't already know it, the NHL is back in business and I have proof. If good things come to those who wait, the Flyers should be real good for a real long time. More than 1 decade after being drafted by the Flyers, Peter Forsberg will finally put on the orange and black. On Wednesday, the Flyers signed Forsberg to a 2-year deal worth about $5 million per year. Forsberg isn't the youngest guy in the world, and he has had some injury problems as of late, but when he is healthy, you can argue he is the best player in the game. The Flyers drafted Forsberg with the 6th overall pick in 1991, and they eventually traded him to the Quebec Nordiques, who are now the Avalanche, as part of the Eric Lindros deal. While in Colorado, Forsberg won 2 Stanley Cups. He's a 7-time All-Star, and he was the league MVP back in 2003. Forsberg has 741 points in 580 NHL games. The Avs wanted him back in a bad way, but this is the new NHL, and with the cap, Colorado could only offer him $3.3 million per year over 4 years. With Forsberg on board, Bobby Clark admits the Flyers have a cap problem, but with every problem, there is a solution. Trade Jeremy Roenick. We told you yesterday the Flyers had done just that, but the Flyers flat out deny this report. However, numerous other media outlets are also reporting that JR will likely be traded to clear up the right amount of cap space. Roenick was a key figure on the Flyers team that got to within 1 game of the Stanley Cup Finals at the end of last season. In 3 seasons with the Flyers, Roenick had 67 goals, 106 assists for 173 points. This came after 6 straight 100-point seasons in Chicago and in Phoenix. Roenick was on WIP radio yesterday before the Forsberg announcement was made. JR said if Forsberg is added and he is subtracted, it's a move that makes sense for the Flyers.
Is tough, but you know, I understand the game, and I understand that Philly needs a championship, and as much as I hate to say it, they have a much better chance of winning a championship with Peter Forsberg than they do with Jeremy Roenick. If this does go down the way it sounds like it's going to go down, I do have to say Clarkie has gone way out of his way in making sure that I am in a place that I want to be, and I can't thank him enough for that.
We will have much more on the Flyers' new All-Star coming up later in the show when Keith Jones and Al Morganti stop on by. Before the Peter Forsberg announcement, there was no way we could have imagined any story knocking the Eagles off the top spot. As you might expect, Neil Hartman and Phil Andrews have off-the-field news and on-the-field news following the first full squad on-field workouts. Here's our Ransom Cat to count down the kickoff report.
A much-anticipated first day of full squad workouts in pads as the Eagles on Wednesday morning. 9,400 fans greeted the Eagles as they came out of the practice field at Lehigh. Last year, same practice, only 6,200 fans were there. Everyone was waiting to see T.O., weren't they?
So you're saying T.O. is still a big draw?
He's still a big draw. I don't know how much everyone loves them as much as they did last year, but certainly when we saw T.O. arrive here at Lehigh for training camp, All the attention, all the cameras. Then we were wondering, how would the fans react when T.O. would go out on the football field for the first time in public? Well, we saw on Wednesday morning. As Terrell Owens dropped to a knee at 8:39 Wednesday morning, Eagles fans got their first opportunity to voice their opinion of number 81. On several occasions, T.O. acknowledged the fans who made the trek to the Lehigh Valley. The reaction didn't appear to be a distraction to Owens. But what about his coach and teammates?
I didn't notice anything.
They was pretty loud. I mean, we was over there. I heard the booing and all this and that when he was coming out. But I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not getting to him.
You know, I've never kind of even thought about, you know, kind of the reaction. You know, as I've always said, when we're out on this field, my main focus is just to go out and try to make as many plays as possible.
No, I ain't hear no boos. I wasn't listening. I had earplugs in. I just took them out a few minutes ago.
Love him or hate him? Eagle fans had plenty to say.
When he makes his touchdowns, everybody's going to be cheering.
He should do his job, period. T.O.'s the man. T.O. deserves all the support that we're giving him.
For much of the morning, it appeared McNabb and Owens had little interaction, but looks can be deceiving.
I don't think, you know, you particularly have to like the individual or hang out with the individual. I think you all have to have a good business relationship. You know, everyone's saying last year how we were just the best of friends and, you know, we're hanging out and doing everything. We had a good business relationship then, and we have a good business relationship now.
While McNabb and Owens have been cordial to one another on campus, Donovan has not found it necessary to seek T.O. out.
I particularly don't want a private one right now. I mean, it's really not needed. I mean, he's going through his situation, and that's between, you know, him and his agent and you know, management. The situation I'm going with is just making sure I'm doing the right thing out there on this field.
Well, we know that T.O. is not talking, but fortunately for us, other people are talking about number 81.
And that includes his teammates. And, you know, Hugh Douglas, you covered him, one of the most approachable players on this football team. Well, Hugh got into a bit of a situation Tuesday's practice in the afternoon with Terrell Owens. He went over before practice to talk to T.O. and maybe chat with him. But, you know, without even looking at Hugh Douglas, T.O. got up and walked away. And Hugh, needless to say, was not very happy about the situation.
We have some things that we definitely need to iron out. You know, I'm not going to try to, you know, blow smoke up your glutes or nothing like that. You know, there's definitely some things that are going on that, you know, you just can't work around. But at the same time, you have to say, you know, we're trying to work him out. He's here. You know, he showed an act of good faith by coming in. And it's just some things that just have to be worked out. But, you know, we'll be okay.
Would you rather have T.O. here in this capacity if he's going to do what he did to you? I mean, would you rather him not be here?
You know what? I'm going to say this. You know, I really can't, you know, I mean, he's a little upset about his situation, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, everybody's trying to get what they can, you know, when they can get it. So, you know, you just have to be the bigger man about the situation. And, you know, hey, he's a little upset, and like I say, rightfully so.
Of course, most, if not all, of these Eagle players are simply sick and tired about talking about T.O., and that includes Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb, who on Saturday, tongue-in-cheek, said, no more talk about T.O., no more questions about T.O. However, he apparently does not share that same philosophy about holdout running back Brian Westbrook.
Well, I think Brian is our ultimate weapon. And if you ask a lot of players across the league, they would say the same thing. A player that everyone would love to have on their team, and you know, can't wait for him to get back and make some big plays for us. But when you miss a guy like Brian Westbrook, it's tough.
And to prove just how tough Westbrook's absence is, head coach Andy Reid has said that every day that Westbrook's not here is proving to be very costly.
I think it's very important you come in and you get your timing down, you get your legs and your wind, and get used to the heat and so on. That's all part of it.
By the way, also this week, Andy Reid said it is Brian's loss by not being here. And boy, is it ever his loss. At $6,000 a day, the fine, $18,000, soon to be a little bit more.
Yeah, well, when you're talking millions and millions of dollars, eventually that he will hopefully secure with a contract, Is it really that much money?
Yeah, because you can buy a whole lot of sneakers with that kind of money.
Well, I did talk to Eagles president Joe Banner on Wednesday evening, and he told me nothing new to report on any of the contract situations. Terrell Owens, also Brian Westbrook, and Corey Simon, who is not here as well. Well, we have a lot more ahead. We'll take a look at the Eagles. 6 months ago, exactly on Saturday, is when they lost to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. We'll look back and look ahead as well, but that's all ahead. Coming up in the show. Let's send it back to the studio.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Just when you think you've seen everything, the Phils play another one-run game that you had to see to believe. It's a game the Phils really needed to win in order to stay in the wild card race and stay ahead of the Cubbies. Bobby Abreu and the Phils looking to snap a 2-game losing streak. It's 3-zip in the third, and Robinson Tejeda cruising along. Michael Barrett down, swinging. 2 batters later, Matt Lawton. A lot of air. Tejeda, 6 Ks and 6 innings of work. Still 3-zip Phils. Top 7, Phils lead 3-1 after a Cubs sac fly. Charlie Manuel opts to pull relief pitcher Ryan Madson with 2 men on in favor of Real Cormier, and the move does not work. Pinch hitter Todd Hollinsworth takes Cormier's second pitch to right center. Abreu thinks he has it, can't get it. 2-run score. The game is tied at 3. It stays that way until the bottom of the 9th. Phils with the bases loaded. Pat Burrell at the dish. Mike Wirtz throws one that could go either way, but the ump calls it a ball, much to the dismay of Dusty Baker. So Burrell, he gets a second chance.
This is going to be a double. No, Rollins is going to score. It was a strikeout, and it got through Barrett. What a bizarre way to win a game, but the Phils will take it as a Phillies win.
Yeah, the Phils get a gift. Take another look. The ball gets away from Barrett, but he quickly recovers to hang up Jimmy Rollins, but Rollins breaks for home just as Barrett throws to third. Not too shabby. The Phils win 4-3. Billy Wagner got the win, but Robinson Tejeda, he had a lot to do with it. His 6 strikeouts, a career high, and for the 6th time in 9 starts, he allowed 1 run or less, but it's that ending most people will remember very well.
I knew that, Barrett couldn't catch me. I knew Ramirez couldn't catch me. So I figured, I'd take 2 steps and hopefully he buys and turn around and go, go home. Hopefully he throws the ball, and he did, and it worked out.
So once you got caught in no man's land, you sold it real well, don't you think?
I guess so. I don't know. I just took 2 steps, and then I was like, you know what? Like I said, if he didn't throw the ball, he wasn't going to catch me anyway. He couldn't run me down, so I was, safe at least to make them make a couple throws and hopefully make a mistake. But that only took 1, and he bought it, I guess.
Craziness, just craziness unfold. I saw the pitch, and it just got away, and then I saw Jimmy kind of break down the line, and he stopped when Barrett got the ball, and Barrett just kind of released it, and I saw with the throw, because the throw was a little bit off, and Ramirez had to kind of lean for it, so I thought he had a chance when he had to throw down third.
We've got a wonderful pitching matchup in today's series finale. Brett Myers will face off against Mark Pryor. It's an afternoon affair with temps in the mid-90s. The first pitch comes your way at 1 o'clock on Comcast SportsNet. Also in the NL East, the Braves had won 7 of their last 8. In Cincy, Reds down 2-1 until the newly named Player of the Month for July steps to the plate, Adam Dunn. A 3-run ride, and the Reds stop the Braves 8-5. On the board, Chad Cordero picks up his Major League leading 36th save, and the Nationals win. The Cards over the Marlins. Matt Morris gets his 12th. The Brewers over the Mets, and the Astros over the Diamondbacks. So it all adds up to this. The Phillies move into 3rd in the East, and they gain some ground on the Braves. In the wild card race, they remain 3.5 games behind Houston. As the Phillies try to stay in the wild card race, they are getting some mixed news from down south with their big bats. GM Ed Wade was on Daily News Live yesterday. Among the many topics, he said Jim Thome is still having discomfort in his elbow when throwing, but they hope he can DH in Clearwater by the end of the weekend. As for Billy Wagner, the trading deadline is come and gone, and the closer is still a Philly, but will it last into next season?
Billy and I and his agent actually had some conversations leading up to the trading deadline, trying to cross this bridge sooner rather than later. And it was clear that that there was an environment where we had a chance to get something done. We just couldn't get to the finish line at that point in time. But it doesn't have anything to do at this stage with what our economics would be going forward. We think that there's an opportunity to keep Billy here based on where we are, and if the whole thing comes into a clearer picture where we can get something done either before the season ends or afterwards, I think we'll be capable of doing that.
It's time to take a break. When we return, 14 years after they drafted him, Peter Forsberg is finally a Philadelphia Flyer. Keith Jones, Al Morganti will explain his possible impact. As we break the results of our singular quick reach question, how long will Brian Westbrook's holdout last? 85% of you say somewhere between a few days to a couple of weeks. Only 5% think it will last into the regular season. There's no new question today. In fact, the quick reach question, taking a summer break. It will return in a couple of weeks. I know you're all looking forward to that. As for this show, we're back in a couple of minutes, so stick around. You do not win Stanley Cup titles on paper, and that's unfortunate for the Flyers because on paper they look great. With Peter Forsberg coming to South Philly, the season cannot come soon enough. With more on the Flyers' blockbuster pickup, here are our hockey analysts Al Morganti and Keith Jones.
Thanks, guys. Well, we have the easiest job in the world, Al Morganti and Keith Jones, to tell you this signing of Peter Forsberg, Keith, might be the best signing in Flyers history.
It really is. You're getting the best player in the world. Obviously, the Flyers have been searching for this guy since they let him go in the Eric Lindros trade. He brings everything you want in a hockey player. He's great in the corners. He's strong. He's physical. He's a great passer. He would score more goals if he shot the puck more, if he chose to. He's that good. A very physical guy is what people like the most, though. When you have a skilled player that likes to hit, plays the body, controls the puck, this guy can control the entire game.
He hits like a truck, and that's, I guess, what makes him such a fearsome player. And he just plays so hard all the time. You played with him in Colorado. Right. What about his leadership abilities?
He's the type of guy that can be yelled at by the coach and go out and have a better game in the third period. He's not a guy that takes it hard, sits there, pouts. He sucks it up. He goes out there, and he leads by example. He's not a big talker. He's not going to yell and scream. He's going to go out and play hard every shift, with the ability that he has. The combination of a player who listens to coaches and is that good, it's a dangerous combination.
So the question is then, how did the Flyers get him? How does Colorado let him go? Well, part of the reason is obviously they're in cap trouble. They signed Rob Blake to so much money. They signed Joe Sakic to so much money. The Avalanche are almost $5 million over the cap. If you have to say there's a downside at all. Peter Forsberg plays hard but does get hurt. Ruptured spleen kept him out of one of their cup runs in 01. Broken wrist over in Sweden, concussions, ankle. He's had some major problems, and will he alter his game at all, or is it a case of he's just going to play like that and risk getting hurt?
I don't think he can alter his game. He loves to play physical. He loves to hit. He'll take the hit. That's what makes him so unique. So I don't think you'll see any changes in the way he plays. The injuries he sustained last year, he's fine now, obviously, with the Flyers signing him. He's going to be ready when he comes to camp.
You always predict they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
I mean it. I mean it for the first time. They're going to win a Stanley Cup with this team.
A Stanley Cup or this Stanley Cup?
This Stanley Cup.
All right, there you have it. Keith Jones predicting it for real this time. These Flyers win this Stanley Cup. Back to you guys.
Yeah, mark it down. Some of the other hockey news from Wednesday. Jerome McGinley will stay in Calgary. He signs a 3-year deal. The Flames also signed former Flyer Tony Monte to a 2-year deal. And after turning down an offer earlier in the day, Mike Modano changes his mind and ends up re-signing with the Stars for 5 years. Coming up next, more on the Eagles. We'll go back to Lehigh, where Corey Simon still nowhere to be found. We're not even a week in, and there are already enough stories coming out of Lehigh to last an entire season. Once more, let's go camping with Neil Hartman and Phil Andrews.
Well, certainly here at Lehigh, the contracts of Terrell Owens and Brian Westbrook have received a lot of attention. But what about Corey Simon? He has not signed his $5.13 million franchise tender, and that's the reason he's not here.
And, Neil, because he has not signed that tender, he technically is not a holdout from training camp, but he does need to be here at the end of training camp in order not to really cause a big stir.
So what happens if Corey Simon doesn't show up? How do they handle this defensively?
Well, Andy Reid will tell you that we'll go on as if he's not here, which is what he's done with all his holdouts in years past. But I had a chance to talk to linebacker Jeremiah Trotter, and he says his absence certainly doesn't help the cause.
Anytime you lose a guy like Corey, it's going to hurt you, you know, especially with the rotation, you know, having to have young guys in there. The guys in there, they're doing great. But, you know, I look forward to getting Corey back, hopefully when the season starts, and getting back in the rotation, making big plays like he does. One person don't stop a train, but, you know, it can slow a train down. You know, and like I said, anytime you lose a guy of his ability, it's going to hurt you some, you know, just to be real.
And, of course, Neil, if there's anybody who knows about the business end of football and dealing with the Philadelphia Eagles in that situation, it's that man, Jeremiah Trotter, because he's been through it before.
And Donovan McNabb has been through an awful lot. On Wednesday, he had a very interesting press conference, touched on a number of different things, and there were 14 television cameras watching his press conference and his every move and what he had to say during the 15-minute session. And one of the topics that came up was reminiscing about the Super Bowl and what Donovan McNabb remembers about his Super Bowl experience.
I almost ran over the president, the current president, of the last president in warm-ups. You know, they were walking out on the field and we were warming up, and, you know, I would take that of just, you know, that's a different experience for me to tell my kids and grandkids that I almost ran over the president. I almost got Bush and Clinton, you know. Not too many people can say that in their Super Bowl experience.
Well, certainly he is showing us that he is bipartisan. You know, Donovan, that's a pretty unique experience.
But the big question is, how close would he really have gotten to the presidents before the Secret Service jumped in?
Well, it was mass confusion on the football field because we were all there and we saw them all going out there on the field. It was a very unique moment to see two presidents like that together, and Donovan just so happened to be bumping into them.
He took it all in.
Yes, he did. Thursday, double sessions continue, open to the public. For Phil Andrews, I'm Neil Hartman. Let's send it back to our Comcast SportsNet studios.
Gentlemen, thank you once again. We'll be right back with the power. We're back with today's lineup, and it's an early start with a businessman special at Citizens Bank Park between the Cubbies and Phils. Afterwards, Phillies post-game live. With the Phils, the Eagles, and Flyers all doing their thing, there will be plenty to talk about on Daily News Live and Wachovia Sports Night. Phillies Clubhouse comes your way at 7 o'clock. At 8, catch In My Own Words, Joe Paterno. And finally at 10, we're wrapping up the day in sports with Toyota Sports Night. We've got a wacky power over at Citizens Bank Park. The pass ball with the bases loaded. Jimmy Rollins gets hung up, but he beats the throw to the plate, scoring the winning run. You may never see a crazier way to end a baseball game. Therefore, it equals our Pico power play of the day. That will do it for Singular Sports Rise. I'm Matt Fine. Have a great rest of the morning, everyone. I'm coming back your way at noon with Sports Day. I'll see you then.